Earlier this year, on the iconic American comedy sketch show Saturday Night Live, country singer Morgan Wallen walked off stage, skipping the usual cast interaction during the goodnight segment. Later that evening, he posted to his Instagram stories a photo of a private jet with the caption, "Get me to God's country." It seems Wallen had had enough of New York. Now, arguably, New York is God's country, but it is a special corner of it, for sure. I lived there for nearly a decade, and I loved it. Not everyone does. It's a unique place. It has its own personalities, its own way of doing things, its own inimitable style. One of the great successes of Saturday Night Live has been its ability to hold up a mirror to that wonderful weirdness. And one of the most on-the-nose sketches was set in a New York boutique called Jeffrey's, an actual store on 14th Street. What made it so funny and so pointed was the way it exposed a culture familiar to many New Yorkers, a fashion world defined by elitism and overt snobbery. The store, in skits and in real life, was staffed by ultra-chic clerks who treated customers with contempt. Soon after I'd moved to New York, fresh off the boat, as they say, I wandered into one of those stores, a high-end cosmetic shop. Immediately, one of the clerks caught sight of me, looked me up and down, and communicated entirely with his face that I was in the wrong place. Nevertheless, I persisted. I began browsing. I'd pick up a product and I'd hear him puff. And then I'd put it down. Eventually, I came to where he was standing and picked up an eye cream. He tried to ignore me, but out of the corner of his eye, he saw me put a tiny amount on my finger. "Ugh," he said. I looked up. "That's way too much." I looked down. There was a 1 millimeter dollop on my finger. "Oh," I said, embarrassed. So I halved it, dabbing the rest onto a tissue. No," he said, even more exasperated now. He turned away. He couldn't even look at me. He was so disgusted. "That's still too much." So I took the tissue and removed even more. Now, there was literally a speck, a pinprick of white eye cream on the end of my finger. You'd need a microscope to see it. He leaned over the counter, peered at it closely, and said, "That's still too much." That story has stayed with me throughout my life. And in my head, it repeats itself every morning as I get ready and take out a dab of eye cream. Mind you, the same eye cream I have used now for nearly 30 years. I look at it and think of that store clerk. Because as it turns out, he wasn't wrong. Powerful cosmetic products are designed to be used in tiny amounts. The active ingredients are strong. And thanks to emulsifiers and other delivery systems, a small amount can spread across a large surface. Too much can cause layering, which clogs pores or even irritates the skin. Now, who's the know-it-all about creams, huh? In today's gospel, Jesus is less patronizing with the disciples than my store clerk, but he is sharp. They ask him for something that will make them better, faith. But Jesus replies that if they had faith the size of a mustard seed, they could move mountains. In other words, the smallest amount is all they need. And in my experience, that is true. A small amount of faith goes further than most people imagine. Now, people say, "Oh, I don't know that I believe enough for this to make any difference." But the thing is, it's not the size that makes faith powerful. Even the smallest act of trust can change something, the whole dynamic of a situation. Not because it's big, but because faith as an ingredient is potent. And when it's rightly placed, it goes further than you'd expect. The point isn't how much you have, but how it's applied, directed. Small amounts spread out. And here's the thing, and it may seem counterintuitive. Strangely, the attempt to do more, to to perform, to prove, to push harder, can actually obscure the work of faith, much like slathering on more cream can end up doing harm. And of course, that goes against what average people might think. Surely if a product is good, more of it is even better. And many of us have a lot we think needs fixing. But God's love, like all love, is a gift. You don't force it or manufacture it. It just works. And trusting the design of something like faith, made to work in quantities as small as a mustard seed, will yield results, powerful ones. Take it from an expert.